We're on the record. This is the Kentucky Public Service Commission. My name is Michael Schmidt. I'm chairman of the commission. Seated to my right is Robert Cicero, vice chairman, and to my left, Commissioner Daniel Logston. We're on the record today in 4 cases involving show cause orders against utilities for failure to file proper required reports with the commission. I will call each case in the order in which it was filed, and if someone is present on behalf of the respective utilities, we will allow them to present evidence. The first case is case number 2017-00030, alleged failure of Center Ridge Water District number 2 to file required reports. Is Center Ridge Water District number 2 present here today with or without an attorney? There's no one in the room, so it appears that Center Ridge Water District number 2 has failed to appear. Mr. Penny, as attorney on behalf of the commission, can you tell us for the record whether or not Center Ridge Water District number 2 was properly notified of this proceeding?
Your Honor, notice was properly given under the applicable rules and statutes of the Public Service Commission.
Thank you. All right, so Center Ridge has elected apparently not to appear. I will now read the charges into the record. KRS 278.230 subsection 3 directs every utility, when required by the Commission, to file with it any report or other information that the Commission reasonably requires. Administrative Regulation 807 KAR 5:006 Section 4 subsection 2 requires every utility to file with the Commission on or before March 31st of each year a financial and statistical report of its utility operations for the preceding calendar year on forms furnished by the Commission. KRS 278.140 requires each utility to file on or before March 31st of each year a report of its gross earnings or receipts derived from intrastate business for the preceding calendar year. KRS 278.990 provides penalties for utilities that fail to file the required reports. KRS 278.990 subsection 1 states that any utility which willfully violates any provisions of KRS Chapter 278 or any Commission regulation shall be subject to civil penalty not less than $25 and not more than $2,500. On January 13, 2016, the Commission provided to Center Ridge an electronic link to the standard forms for the financial and statistical report and the report of gross earnings from intrastate business. According to Commission records, Center Ridge filed its annual report and gross operating report for the 2015 calendar year on or about January 10th, 2017. The failure to file these reports by the deadline on March 31st, 2016 is prima facie evidence that Center Ridge willfully failed to comply with KRS 278.230 subsection 3. The Commission initiated a similar action against Center Ridge on October 11th, 2011 for failing to file its annual report for the 2010 calendar year. In case number 2011-00337, the Commission, after a hearing at which Center Ridge did not appear, assessed Center Ridge a penalty of $2,500. On October 3, 2012, the Commission issued an order suspending the payment of the fine contingent upon Center Ridge timely filing its 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015 and 2016 annual reports. The October 3rd, 2012 order provided that the fine would be waived upon timely filing of the 2016 annual report, but also provided that the fine would become due and payable if Center Ridge did not timely file its 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16 annual reports. It appears that by not timely filing its 2015 annual report, Center Ridge violated the Commission's October 3rd, 2012 order issued in case number 2011-00337, and consequently the suspended fine of $2,500 is now due and payable. Mr. Penny, do you have, on behalf of the Commission, any testimony to present with respect to this matter and the failure to file reports?
I do, Your Honor. May I approach the court reporter, please?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, I've provided to the court reporter the pre-filed direct testimony of Jeff Klein, an employee of the Public Service Commission. I would like for this to be marked as Exhibit 1, PSC Exhibit 1 for identification purposes.
Let it be so marked as Exhibit 1 for purposes of identification. Do you intend to call Mr. Klein?
I do, sir. I would like to call Jeff Klein of the Public Service Commission as our only witness.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, please take the stand. Mr. Klein, do you solemnly swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. You may ask.
Good morning, Mr. Klein.
Good morning.
Would you please state your name, business address, and position with the Commission for the record?
Jeff Klein at 211 Sauer Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky 40601, and my title is Procedures Development Coordinator.
And did you have cause to have filed direct testimony in this proceeding in the form of the exhibits that I have just handed out?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to move that the exhibits be admitted into the record.
There being no one here and no objection, the motion is sustained, and the pre-filed testimony will be admitted into record as Commission Exhibit 1.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness, and he's available for cross-examination.
Mr. Cicero, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Commissioner Logston?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you may stand down. Once again, noting that no one in the hearing room is present on behalf of Center Ridge Water District Number 2, this hearing will now be officially closed, and an official written decision will be made within an appropriate period of time. The next case is case number 2017-00031, the alleged failure of Fern Lake Company to file required reports. Is anyone here in the hearing room on behalf of Fern Lake Company? There being no one here in the hearing room on behalf of Fern Lake, Mr. Penny, can you tell us whether or not Fern Lake Company was properly notified of this proceeding in the hearing today?
Notice was given in accordance with Commission statutes and regulations.
Thank you. All right, we will now proceed to read the charges applicable to Fern Lake Company. KRS 278.230 subsection 3 directs every utility when required by the Commission to file within any report or other information that the Commission reasonably requires. 807 KAR 5:006 Section 4, subsection 2, requires every utility to file with the Commission on or before March 31st of each year a financial and statistical report of its utility operations for the preceding calendar year on forms furnished by the Commission. KRS 278.140 requires each utility to file on or before March 31st of each year a report of its gross earnings or receipts derived from intrastate business for the preceding calendar year. KRS 278.990 provides penalties for utilities that fail to file the required reports. KRS 278.990 subsection 1 states that any utility which willfully violates any provisions of KRS Chapter 278 or any Commission regulation shall be subject to a civil penalty not less than $25 and not more than $2,500. According to Commission records, Fern Lake Company has yet to file its annual reports and gross operating reports for the years 2014 and 2015 calendar years. The absence of these reports is prima facie evidence that Fern Lake Company willfully failed to comply with KRS 278.230 subsection 3. Mr. Penny, do you have any evidence which you would like to submit as to the fact that these reports have not been filed?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to introduce PSC Exhibit Number 1 for identification purposes. It is the direct testimony of Jeff Klein.
Motion sustained. The exhibit will be admitted for purposes of identification.
May I approach the court reporter?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, at this point, may I call Jeff Klein as our only witness?
Yes, you may. Mr. Klein, please take the stand. Mr. Klein, do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I sure do.
Thank you. You may be seated, and Mr. Penny, you may ask.
Good morning, Mr. Klein.
Morning.
Would you please state your name, business address, and position with the Commission for the record?
Jeff Klein, 211 Sour Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky, 40601, and I'm a Procedures Development Coordinator.
Did you have cause to have filed direct testimony in this proceeding in the form of the exhibit that I just introduced?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, at this point I'd move that the exhibit I introduced be admitted into the record.
Motion sustained. The pre-filed testimony will be admitted into evidence as Commission Exhibit 1.
I have no further questions for this witness. He is now available for cross-examination.
Mr. Rowe, do you have any questions?
I do have a question. With regard to the follow-up, when a utility does not provide their gross annual receipts or file their annual report, according to your testimony, there are several follow-ups, and those follow-ups were made by the PSC to Fern Lake. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you receive any type of response whatsoever from Fern Lake in regard to why they hadn't filed or if they intended to file?
No response whatsoever from Fern Lake.
And communication was initiated through both email and by phone?
And by phone.
No further questions?
Mr. Logsman?
No question, Mr. Chairman.
I have no questions.
We have no follow-up.
Thank you. You may stand down. Looking about the hearing room and it being clear that no one is present on behalf of Fern Lake, this matter is hereby closed, and the Commission will enter an appropriate order within an appropriate period of time. The next case is case number 2017-00033, alleged failure of Red Barn Waste Management, LLC, to file required reports. Is anyone present on behalf of Red Barn Waste Management, LLC? There being no one in the courtroom, it's obvious that Red Barn is not present. Mr. Penny, can you tell us, for the record, whether or not Red Barn Waste Management, LLC was properly notified of this proceeding and the hearing today?
Your Honor, notice was given in accordance with Commission statutes and regulations.
Thank you. We'll move forward then with the hearing. The charges against Red Barn Waste Management, LLC are as follows. KRS 278.230 subsection 3 directs that every utility, when required by the Commission to file with it any report or other information that the Commission reasonably requires, 807 KAR 5:006, Section 4, subsection 2 requires every utility to file with the Commission on or before March 31st of each year a financial and statistical report of its utility operations for the preceding calendar year on forms furnished by the Commission. KRS 278.140 requires each utility to file on or before March 31st of each year a report of its gross earnings or receipts derived from intrastate business for the preceding calendar year. KRS 278.990 provides penalties for utilities that fail to file the required reports. KRS 278.990 subsection or section 1 states that any utility which willfully violates any provision of KRS Chapter 278 or any Commission regulation shall be subject to a civil penalty not less than $25 and not more than $2,500. According to Commission records, Red Barn has yet to file its annual reports for 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015 calendar years, and its gross operating reports for 2011, 2012, 2014, and 2015 calendar years. The absence of these reports is prima facie evidence that Red Barn willfully failed to comply with KRS 278.230 subsection 3. This Commission initiated a similar action against Red Barn on October 11, 2011 for failing to file its annual reports and gross operating reports for 2008, 2009, and 2010 calendar years. In case number 2011-00347, the Commission, after a hearing at which Red Barn did not appear, assessed Red Barn a penalty of $2,500. As of the date of this order, Red Barn has not paid that penalty. Mr. Penny, do you have any testimony to offer with respect to this case?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to introduce an exhibit marked as PSC Exhibit Number 1. It is the verified pre-filed direct testimony of Jeff Klein.
Okay, motion sustained. Let the testimony be marked as Exhibit 1, Commission Exhibit 1 for purposes of identification, and you may approach the reporter, the clerk.
And Your Honor, at this time I would like to call Jeff Klein as the Commission's witness.
Mr. Klein, please step forward and take the stand. Mr. Klein, do you solemnly swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. You may ask, Mr. Penny.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Klein.
Morning.
Would you please state your name, business address, and position with the Public Service Commission for the record?
Jeff Klein, 211 Sauer Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky, 40601. My title is Procedures Development Coordinator.
And did you have cause to have filed direct testimony in this proceeding in the form of the exhibit that I've just handed out?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to move for that exhibit to be admitted into the record.
Motion sustained. The exhibit will be entered into the record as Commission Exhibit Number 1.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for the witness. He is available for cross-examination.
Thank you, Mr. Cicero. Do you have any questions of the witness?
Yes, I do. It appears that there were several attempts to contact the utility in order to find out why they hadn't filed their reports. Did you receive any response whatsoever in regards to why they hadn't filed the annual reports or their gross receipts?
Over the many years, we've received several, mainly when we were calling them by phone. We've sent things by USPS mail and email, and mainly we had more success with phone. And we did get feedback, and we had heard, excuses for illnesses over the years. At one time, one of the workers there said he had fallen into one of the sewer system water part of their plant there with injuries. And I know some people with our general counsel office had reached out to them at some point and had some feedback from them. Mr. Penny can probably attest to that. But that's the only luck I had. There were excuses, so they did give us feedback, but we had no success getting the reports.
So they acknowledge that they were required to file these reports,
Oh yes, they were well aware.
but only offered reasons why they hadn't filed them, but not denying that they didn't know that they needed to file them.
Exactly.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Logston, do you have any questions of this witness?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I have no questions. Mr. Penny?
Your Honor, the Commission staff has no further questions.
Thank you. You may stand down. There being no one in the hearing room, on behalf of Red Barn Waste Management, LLC, this case is now, the evidence in this case is now closed, and the Commission will issue an order in an appropriate period of time. The next case is case number 2017-00045, alleged failure of Lewis Sanitation Company, Inc., doing business as Garden Heights Sewer Division, to file required reports. Is anyone present in the hearing room on behalf of Lewis Sanitation Company, Inc.? There is no one else in the hearing room, and so Lewis Sanitation Company, Inc. has failed to appear. Mr. Penny, can you tell us for the record whether or not Lewis Sanitation Company, Inc. was properly notified of this proceeding and the hearing today?
Your Honor, notice is properly given under Commission statutes and regulations.
Thank you. That being the case, we'll move forward with the testimony that is here and available to be presented today. The charges against Lewis Sanitation Company, Inc. are as follows. KRS 278.230, subsection 3, directs every utility, when required by the Commission, to file with it any report or other information that the Commission reasonably requires. 807 KAR 5:006, Section 4, subsection 2, requires every utility to file with the Commission on or before March 31st of each year a financial and statistical report of its utility operations for the preceding calendar year on forms furnished by the Commission. KRS 278.990 provides penalties for utilities that fail to file the required reports. KRS 278.990, subsection 1, states that any utility which willfully violates any provisions of KRS Chapter 278 or any Commission regulation shall be subject to a civil penalty not less than $25 and not more than $2,500. On January 13th, 2016, the Commission provided to Lewis Sanitation, doing business as Garden Heights Sewer Division, an electronic link to the standard form for the annual financial and statistical report. According to Commission records, Garden Heights, Lewis Sanitation has filed its annual report for the 2015 calendar year on January 23, 2017. The failure to file this report by March 31, 2016 is prima facie evidence that Garden Heights or Lewis Sanitation willfully failed to comply with KRS 278.230 subsection 3. Mr. Penny, do you have any evidence or exhibits to offer with respect to this matter?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to introduce Commission Exhibit 1. It is the verified pre-filed testimony of Jeff Klein.
Let Mr. Klein's pre-filed testimony be filed for purposes of identification as Commission Exhibit Number 1.
May I approach?
You may approach.
Thank you. At this point, Your Honor, I'd like to call Jeff Klein as the Commission's witness.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Klein, please take the stand. Mr. Klein, do you solemnly swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Mr. Penny, you may ask.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Klein.
Good morning, Mr. Penny.
Would you please state your name, business address, and position with the Commission for the record?
Jeff Klein, 211 Sour Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky, 40601, and I'm a Procedures Development Coordinator.
Thank you. And did you have cause to have filed direct testimony in this proceeding in the form of the exhibit that I just introduced?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or corrections to that testimony?
No, I do not.
Okay. Your Honor, at this point, I'd move for that exhibit to be admitted into the record.
Motion sustained. The pre-filed testimony shall be admitted into evidence as Commission Exhibit Number 1.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I have no further questions for the witness. He's available for cross-examination.
Commissioner Cicero, do you have questions of the witness?
They failed to file their 2015 report prior to January 23rd, 2017. Is this the first time they've been delinquent filing reports?
In recent years, yes. I would have to check my records for many years in the past.
So they may or may not be a first-time offender?
That some of these companies are definitely more than one-time offender, and I would suspect they have at some time in the past. They probably have been, but I wouldn't say that for sure unless I check my records.
Did they? Is the fact that they filed by January 23rd in response to your efforts to have them file their reports?
It is. We feel like we try everything we can possibly do to reach out to these companies, and really I believe what did it, because even to the last second when we hand our list over to this year was Jeb Penny, we're trying up to that day, and then after that day we kind of wipe our hands with it because it's in their hands then after that. And right before I'd sent the list to Mr. Penny, I'd sent them one final email saying that this list, you're still delinquent in filing, and you're going to be on the delinquent filer list. We're going to hand over to our general counsel's office. And within less than a week later, I got an email response saying it's been filed. So it was that last little attempt that probably did it.
So just to confirm, when you say you advised them you were handing it over to Mr. Penny, you were referring to the fact that it went to legal counsel here at the PSC?
Correct.
I have no further questions.
Commissioner Logston, do you have any questions for this witness?
No questions, Your Honor.
I have no questions, Mr. Penny.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you. You may stand down. At this time, the Commission's evidence having been completed and the Chair noticing that there's no one else in the hearing room and therefore no one present, on behalf of Lewis Sanitation. This hearing will now come officially to an end, and the commission will enter an order within an appropriate period of time. That concludes all of the hearings that we will have this morning. There was one other case, case number 2017-00032, the alleged failure of Marshall County Environmental Services, LLC, to file required reports for years 2013, 14, and 15 calendar years, and gross operating reports for 2014 and 15. Marshall County Environmental Services, LLC, is represented by Attorney John N. Hughes, who filed a motion asking for a continuance and that the hearing be rescheduled because of illness or the medical condition of a witness. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The commission has determined to grant the motion for continuance, so the hearing will not be held at this time, and an order will be formally entered noting that the requested continuance has been granted and rescheduling the hearing for another date. Thank you. All right, with that, the business of the Public Service Commission is concluded, and we are now in recess.